Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead. So this morning, walked in, Dow futures are down like 250 points. Could be because of the Syria-Russia tweets. It could be because people think that President Trump wants to, fire Mueller, et cetera, et cetera. Lo and behold, we did have some kind of morning move for a lot of things to go green and then push. Thank goodness, because, on Tuesday we had the gap and go to the upside, and I definitely got, decently long thinking that maybe we're in a constructive tape, double bottoms in. And anyway, this morning was complicated, down a lot of money, but wound up making it all back and then some. A lot of good tactics happened, but then we rolled over. Now some of those charts that look pretty constructive, like maybe we would break above these lower pivots like Facebook did, or they tried and they failed. Maybe they try again tomorrow, I don't know. But to me, I think there's enough movement now that I don't need to start my day the way the way we did today. If we're up tomorrow, I'll be a little upset, but it is what it is. I'm not. My FOMO is left. My FOMO has left the building. And I'd rather just day trade and create some cash flow and then wait for more clarity. There are some things that look fine to own, but then there are some things I just don't think aren't worth it. As far as the rotation we just saw. 2 days ago, I talked about buying the XLE at 69, and it went to 70 and change. And today, it was down 60 cents. We bought a pre-market on the VTF, made another 50 cents, and that's your day two. Rarely do you want to be long XLE after 2 or 3 big days. So, although there's some strength in some places, the laggards, the sectors that used to be laggards, are now up 2-3 days. So that doesn't make much sense to have much of them. And the leading sectors are not leading, and they seem vulnerable. So. Let's just go through some of the charts. Here you go. Here's a chart of the S&P cash. I do think we close lower than this. This is still acting as resistance. We're not falling apart, so it's not like this, double bottom is null and void. But for me, I'm just being a little bit more careful. We'll see what happens here. Here's your 21-day. We're still below it. So, to me, well, actually, is that what? That's your what's the red? The red. That's the 50-day. But we're still below this 21-day here. If tomorrow we were to open up and go sideways and then close a little bit better, maybe I'll get back into some things. But for now, it's just it just makes sense for me not to have much on. The spiders, are sitting here kind of like on an air pocket. What do I mean by an air pocket? Well, you had this big gap up, okay, on Tuesday, and it is holding it, okay. But if this were to give way, there's a pretty big air pocket down to 261. So the question is, do you want to be long it overnight for some kind of news for it to fill it, or maybe wait and intraday get a better chance to, buy it if it opens up above this and goes. But this is a pretty big air pocket, and that's just from Tuesday, let alone from where we were. But still, if we hold it going sideways and defend it, then maybe we do act better. The Qs. We're very erratic today. Tried to be strong a few times and then just didn't really have much juice. If you look here, a bit of a topping tail, a little bit of a red dog reversal. So for me, I was long the Qs most of the day and I didn't take it long. Why not? Well, we pushed above here and closed near the lows of the day. To me, that looks like sellers taking control. We're still, just a midway here above the halfway point, but for me, again, I don't have much conviction here. So this little, topping tail there had its chance to break above and hold above and maybe get to here, but for now, the jury's out. Still above here, still above there, but unless you really have conviction, it's hard to be so heavy there. The XLE, is a really good trade, okay, and it's acting better. I showed you the channel on Tuesday, and then today you could have been a buyer of the dip. Remember the day count? This was like the day one-ish, but it got negated, and then it could go more. It definitely could go more. It just, to me, I don't have the conviction to take it overnight again. So, or buy it. Like this morning, I was buying it pre-market because I'm like, hey, I think we bought it like 69.30 because it was the strongest sector yesterday. So I figured it would retest this. Didn't even get down there. So anyway, I don't love the market when it's being led by the XLE and the OAHs, but for trades, it's trades. This broke above this mini flag, and now it's at the 200-day. Will it just run right through it? Maybe. At this point, I would think that, you know, the easy trade is to there, and now it gets a little harder. Could even get a little bit above it. So I was in Amazon. Amazon was back and forth, and you know, for me, I just, you know, I got out when it could not hold this spot. This is where I wanted to add. I went home overnight. I was thinking, hey, we got a nice little wedge here. Maybe it gets above this 1438, comes up to the gap, gets through there, and lo and behold, this day couldn't hold the gains and closed near the lows. Does it mean it's going to be back here tomorrow? No, it just means that for me, using my little strategy, you know, to me, it doesn't look like a long overnight. It just looks like either a void, or maybe some guys are even shorted, but I don't have enough conviction to short it. Google's still lagging big time. Okay, this is looking more and more like a bear flag right underneath the 200-day. So I tried it long once or twice. It didn't work. At this point, it's definitely weaker than other names, so you have to take care there. Facebook was really the one. Facebook had the lower level flag. If you look at the chart I posted on the private Twitter, I said if it gets above 161, 161.5, chances are we could see 164. Well, not only did it do that yesterday, it gave you another day today. Okay, right back to the 200-day pretty much. So do you want to be in Facebook now after a move like this? This was your calculated long buy. This morning you could have added, you know, to go green, traded above yesterday's high, and now it's at the 200-day. Pretty big move from 150 to 168. So could push higher. The market wants to go higher. It could push up to here-ish, or take back the 200-day, or that was the oversold bounce into the testimony on the house. All in all, though, nice targeted play here. So you don't have to play a stock to make new highs up there, and when you could have a lower level pivot where you know where the rubber match is, and that's where it was between the bulls and the bears. And now I don't know. You have to have a lot of conviction after this move in Facebook to say, hey, I'm going to be long Facebook now. But if we open up tomorrow, the way Facebook was, I'm sorry, chances are it's in the game to continue. Twitter I had overnight, bought some in the hole. It's kind of acting fine. You know, held this spot, which is a spot we were talking about. Didn't get stopped out there. It still could push more. If I felt like being in stuff, I'd probably still be in some Twitter, but at this point, I'm just not. But it's hanging in there. For those of you who sold it when it broke the momentum level up here, the way we did way back when, or when it broke this spot, you had the luxury of buying it into this tight little wedge. You know, Google looks like it's breaking below it. Facebook and Twitter broke above it. Apple looks fair. I tried to buy it a few times today. It's not leading the market. I like when Apple leads the market, but it's still hanging around, not breaking down, but not showing any kind of teeth. It did hold the 200-day, so it's showing it's showing a little bit more strength and weakness as per other things. But hopefully, if it does, you know, rally, we'll see the volume, and we could be a buyer for it to get through this 174. But at this point, I'm not taking it overnight. I don't see a heck of a reason yet. Tesla was also a focus this morning. Just goes to show you how, like, you know, when it's a combustion area, it's a combustion area. Like, you know, Tesla looked good. It had a nice little bull flag. It was down $5 with the futures. So to me, I'm like, ooh, it's been acting well. I think we could buy it to go from red to green. Maybe it pushes above the 3-day pivot for, you know, to squeeze the shorts. But then that's the trade. That's like the rubber match. You know, shorts are still trapped. Buyers are still trying to do it. It pushed above an area that was a spot that, you know, an obstacle for the bulls, and a shorts, a covering spot for the bears. And then that trade was over. And then once it goes back below that area later, it's like just the juice is loose. It's gone. So for me, it turned into a no trade. So if you look at it now, it looks a little different. You know, this is when I was like, hey, nice little bull flag. Anyone who's short is caught short. This was a nice little pivot to buy. Now it's holding up here. Had 2 downgrades, so why not buy it red to maybe go above this and push. It went above it and then closed really off of there. So to me, if you're still in it and you like to, and you're holding it, so you're holding Tesla from, you know, from here, okay. But for me, I was trading it for like just a tactical trade. Be long versus 294, which it was good, and then it pushed above this, gave you a trade, and then backed off a bit. If you used a 5-minute chart, I taught you guys in Redler Ultimate Access how to trade it. Well, here it was. right? This was 2 days ago. So where is today? Opened up, lower, put in its lower range, right here, right around 9:45. So this nut candle was above the 5-minute low. Here's your low candle. So this was the buy verse here, add. Then it took out this 106, 107 area, gave you a quick push, and then couldn't hold it. So if it would have stayed here and held here, maybe there was more if tech was going to be strong. But for the first hour and a half trade, this was a good one. Then once it did this and broke below it, I pretty much said, that's it. I'm done with it for now because it's just not that tight anymore. It's just different. Doesn't mean it's over, but for me, it's different. Might not be different for other people, but for me, again, it's different. IBB was pretty strong today for itself. What did it do? It came into the 200-day and kind of got rejected. So from the lows to here, it needs some more time to prove it can go up. IWM acting a bit better, held the 200-day. It's trying to poke its head up above this, and I guess it can go more if the market's going to go more. Decent sign, but not enough for me to have such conviction long. Let's see what the spiders look like now, since it's a little bit later. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Still holding that. Still holding this this gap, but there is a pretty big air pocket here. So if I was short, I would intraday and say it breaks below this, you get a cascade lower, but hasn't happened yet. So it's still holding it, but we'll see. Stay tuned for tomorrow. So all in all, there's definitely a lot going on. The ranges are big. It feels like the market's trying to bottom here, but then you have all these different headlines that keep showing up. Typically, when, not saying with war, but sometimes they sell their rumor, they buy the bombs, so everyone's scared to be long if we bomb Syria, but sometimes you bomb Syria, everyone rallies around the flag, and instead of everyone talking about the president firing Mueller and maybe impeachment and the election, everyone's talking about getting the guys who gassed their civilians because that's the right thing to do. So sometimes that causes a rally. It doesn't always cause a decline. I remember in 2003, we were in a horrible tape, horrible. As soon as we bombed Iraq and went to war, we rallied for a bunch of months and years. So, I think that the biggest fear of the tape right now is if President Trump tries to fire Mueller, and that right there, could lead to a little chaotic action, because then it's really showing he's doing whatever he's doing in the whole impeachment process and whatever. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that. All I know is I think that's really what's worrying the market now is the erratic nature of everyone resigning in the White House, and every time the headlines change, it causes a little bit more fear. So with that said, tomorrow is Thursday. Earnings season starts Friday. Hopefully, everyone's saying earnings season is going to be awesome. We'll see, and we'll see how the stocks, more importantly, react to the earnings. Is it priced in? If they're lukewarm, do we go down? If it's lukewarm, do we hang in there? If it's really good, do we open up and continue or go red? Like lots of different ways that we'll have to look at it. So, but for now, whatever side you pick, if you're thinking we're short tonight, don't be too big. If you're thinking, you want to stay with your longs, don't be too big. There's more than enough action today to develop cash flow where at some point we'll have more clarity. Listen, a lot of us had a great first quarter, with lots of different types of markets. Remember the trend up in the S&P cash? That was awesome. Okay, that was when we were in a nice trend. You could have been long portfolio approach and high-fiving everybody. I was in like 10 to 12 to 14 positions here. And then if you were looking for the final short, if you finally get short, gap didn't get filled, you had a nice, fierce, long move to the downside, and then you had the red dog reversal. Nice little week and a half move long, and then into this red dog reversal, you had some follow through to the downside before this one with some follow through to the upside, and now lots of choppiness, choppy. But at this point, you still have a potential double bottom, and there's still some things that are a bit more constructive, so I would just be a little bit more flexible both ways. And with that said, I'll see you in the morning. Have a good night.